many institutional publications took those orders from Leslie Sloan about the end, and I'm stunned by it all. We built this lovely graphic for you if you're watching along with us. Inside Blake Lively's fearless return to the Met Gala. Blake Lively just got the last laugh at the Met Gala. Blake Lively made her Met Gala comeback. Blake Lively just made her triumphant return to the carpet in Atelier Versace. Blake Lively shuts down legal drama and storms the Met Gala like nothing. And then you look at the comment section and it's like, are you people crazy? Are you tone deaf? It's two separate worlds. Donna, Zack, we've set the stage. You tell me. What are you feeling?
It's smear campaign 2.0, Billy.
Oh.
The smear campaign is back at it again. It's digital violence. It's it's the narrative in Blake's head that doesn't align with reality.
Yeah, I think we were all shocked to see her at the Met Gala. Like literally shocked to see her. I felt like physically
violated?
Shocked by it. Yeah, it was physical violence, according to. No, I was blown away to see her show up in that way. 2 minutes. We were just getting used to the fact that they had just settled. Like we couldn't believe it, right? We were texting in shock.
I was like, no way, this is AI. Because I fallen for like the Katy Perry AI at the Met Gala before, and I was like, this has to be AI, and I immediately go on my phone to check it, and I was like, oh, she's actually
That's
there.
an old look. That's 2024. That's got to be 2023.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
And then you know who you're dealing with. I mean, the sentiment that a lot of people I saw were like, wait a minute, you can't stay home after the most emotional 18 months and a settlement to this incredible odyssey. You can't stay home with your 4 kids and your incredibly rich, successful husband in your massively beautiful, giant, expensive, place. No.
No, she
narcissism at its true narcissism would say,
Yeah. I mean, and what happened to all the women that she was fighting for? What happened to all the children of the world that she was trying to protect from digital violence? I mean, this just goes to show you she didn't give a shit about any of that. That was her FU to all the people that she claimed that she was representing. Is she went out and she strutted down that carpet because they didn't mean a damn thing to her. They were like a purse on her side. It was a prop for as long as she could use them. And they should all be embarrassed that they even supported her, because this just goes to show you it was never about them. It was always about her ego.
Donna, what chaps you, is it the fact that no accountability? Like you have to, whenever you got to own something, and she has not owned anything, and I don't think there are any plans to own something. So therefore, you're not going to defeat not just the content creators, but the comment section. You're not going to overwhelm people. You're not going to overpower people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think ever, we all said, even if she went to trial and lost the trial, she still would not ever take accountability or apologize or say, I did wrong or I misled the world into belief. I don't think for 1 second Blake Lively was ever going to say, I am wrong, I am sorry. But to go on Instagram and to release that grand statement not 2 weeks ago when all the claims were dismissed about how I will still fight. And actually the fight is not about the sexual harassment. It's about the smear campaign. And we have mountains of evidence, and we're going to go all the way to the end with this because there's no settling. We will never settle this. Why would we settle? We have all the evidence in the world. And then to settle just in time to zip up the dress. I mean, it's a movie. It is literally a movie of a villain. Sorry, that's how I feel.
To clean up and also, but for truth's sake here, she was definitely invited. There was that story that went out that said, she wasn't even invited. She spent $100,000 last minute and bought herself a ticket. No, Anna Wintour is taken by Blake Lively. She loves her, and she sat at Anna's table, and that custom clutch with her children's art on each of the panels that was done 2 weeks ago, so she knew she was attending. It wasn't last minute. But what I see here, and I talked about yesterday, but I'm still, I marvel at, because I spent a lot of time in the traditional institutional mainstream media, how they're kind of playing ball still with Blake Lively. They won't move in the direction of it's too uncomfortable to call her out for what's obviously what she's done here. This Vogue interview, you're looking at a picture here of this poor girl, chit-chatting with Blake and about everything other than the massive elephant in the room, all those covers. I mean, I worked at Access Hollywood and Extra for years. There's no way. Imagine, this is why I could not work there anymore. Imagine me getting a script on that Monday and it's saying, Blake Lively returns to the carpet and faces the crowd and fearless Blake. And then I come to Hot Mics an hour later and I say, can you believe that fraud? I mean, who's the fraud? Who's the fraud? You're the fraud.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'd rather go with the honest, but it's two separate worlds. And I don't know what Leslie Sloan is promising them or, hey, we'll give you access later on. But I've been in the room where publicists have either lightly threatened or promised something. And I think these two worlds fascinate me.
My gut feeling is after seeing Ryan Reynolds' text messages to his agent and seeing what anger this man can release, that was the theme here, is they do have so much power. So whether it's William Morris or WME and the Ari Emanuels of the world, et cetera, I don't know why Hollywood is so scared of these two. I would be scared of the audience more so than these two people that are dictators. I mean, it feels like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely flexed their power. And I think if anything we've now seen with the emails and the text messages, how much power they yield in terms of they can just call up Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and say, hey, we need you to tell Sony that even though Blake's cut of the movie sucks and it's not resonating with audiences, that's the cut that they should move forward with. And then they just kind of get their way. And I think they thought that they were going to get this way with this litigation by planting the New York Times article burying Baldoni, and they didn't think that he would come back swinging. And he did, and they really lost epically. And I think it was very telling that Ryan Reynolds has not been by his wife's side. He can BS himself at the city winery, on stage talking about how proud he is of her, but where were you in settlement negotiations? Where were you walking next to her at the red carpet? If you're really proud of your wife, you're going to stand by her, and he hasn't.
Yeah, I got it on pretty good authority here that a friend of Ryan's who, just through friends, connected to Ryan, that he literally just not having it, that he could not go to court. He could not withstand. Now his career's in jeopardy. He gets on that stand, and his text with Warren's, the cross-examination by Brian Friedman of Ryan Reynolds is just too humiliating to him, and he's got so much money that, they found their way to an off-ramp, which makes you think, and I ask you guys because you've been so invested in this, like me, for a long period of time, are you a little discouraged and a little let down by Justin Baldoni that he kind of accepted it and let her have the off-ramp?
Oh, Billy, I was pissed. We went through a range of emotions.
We were a roller coaster.
I heard you were like worse than Amber Heard, baby.
He had a margarita before that video.
I had a margarita before that video, but I had reached my wits' end. I was I was shocked. And then I was disappointed, and then I was pissed. I was like, after everything, the last 2 years, we experienced our digital violence. We were on a boat raft together trying to just muster every wind that came our way with the Blake bots and the personal attacks and just fighting for what we believed was the truth, especially against people that just read the Leslie Sloan planted headlines.
Yeah, I feel, look, we did speak to Brian Friedman yesterday on our shows, and it did calm us down a bit with the settlement and the statement. But yeah, our first initial reaction, and a lot of audience members of ours that are pro-Baldoni, pro-Wayfarer this whole time, have felt very just kind of deflated because they wanted the win. We wanted that Karen Reed victory moment outside of the steps with, Alan Jackson. And we didn't get that. But I don't think we were ever going to get that, no matter what.
Well, I think Brian made a really good point of saying that, we did get that. When her case was gutted and all of her claims, majority of her claims got dismissed, and Baldoni and all the Wayfair parties personally got dismissed, that was the victory. Her case had been diminished to a contract dispute that really shouldn't have ever moved to trial because it was so minute at that point.
Spoke to a source, involved here not long ago, and this today. And I mean, here are the things that, I think Justin really wanted to go to court. He was like, he was ready to tell his story, and this he thought was his chance. But I think what was, he was convinced or told, you're not going to get a chance to tell your story by sitting on that stand. It's a bunch of choppy little questions and answers, and you're going to be cross-examined by Gottlieb and these people that are going to do everything they can to discredit you, and you're not going to be satisfied. In this case, it is actually the best result because it's obvious to anyone who's honest with themselves. Yeah. She needed this. She came to them frantically and said, we need an off-ramp. Ryan is behind her going, my fucking career is at stake. We're doing this. They needed it. And he took the high road and accepted it. And now there is no, as I understand it, no NDA. There's no non-disparagement clause. There's no anything stopping him from telling his story. If he chooses to do it, he can.
He will definitely tell his story. There's no way. I can't imagine. It's just the question of how he does it. And we were saying what would be such a cool thing is had he been documenting this entire journey, self-documenting, right? Like maybe doing video journals or just his feelings, talking to his wife. Like how amazing would that be if Wayfair releases a documentary about Justin Baldoni's journey?
Maybe they've been doing it all along. I can tell you guys now that I had a meeting with, I wanted to produce a Karen Reed, Alan Jackson style thing, and I got as far down the road as I possibly could, and it stopped at one of the principals who is, the thing is, they are humble people, the Jamie and Justin. Yeah. They're not, I think they see as, well, I don't want to appear like we're grandstanding in any way or taking advantage of it. Like this deeply hurts. Yeah. Like at the core of, you're telling me at the core, I'm a rotten person. I'm really a terrible person. And with the Baha'i faith that centers on equality between men and women completely, I mean, you're really saying that I am a fraudulent human being. You, Blake Lively, are impugning my character in the most vicious way. That hurts a normal person who's balanced.
Yeah.
That really hurts. So they couldn't get to that, but I'm like, listen, this is myself. Look at my sales pitch. I'm sitting there going, this is about Justin's next move. This is about him going forward in his career. This is not about trashing Blake. This is about being at home, cameras with you and Emily, and how it's tearing you apart and letting people just see that human side of it.
It doesn't need to be about Blake at all. I mean, they can really do it without, because I know that that's a big part of their faith is to not talk badly about others. So I think there's a really great way that they can come out on top by just really focusing on their own healing journey through this, or not even healing, struggling and then healing. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, you agree?
No, I agree. I think I think people are interested. I think they should do it sooner rather than later, just because there's so many questions, and she will be able to dominate and control the narrative the longer that they kind of stay, not in the shadows, but just kind of stay quiet. But I also understand that this has been over 2 years of just emotional turmoil that they've dealt with, not just litigation, but with her, that I'm sure they just want a little bit of peace and a break.
And I also think it would give the fans a lot of really amazing closure to see his journey, because they have really felt like they have fought for him. I mean, our audience, it feels like an army, and we were saying an army fighting against these big people, these giants, and we're fighting and we're fighting and we're fighting against the mainstream media every day.
What's driving that? Like, what's the army, the fighting? What's driving that?
I think everyone has a shared feeling of being bullied in middle school or high school or something, or just going through a struggle in the workplace or whatever, where you feel like you don't have the say, you don't have the power, you don't have the followers, the money.
Or you didn't stand up for the little guy when you should have in your life, and you're watching it happen in front of you, and you're an older person now, and you're like,
Exactly.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And I think that there are a lot of women that have been in positions where they feel like they've been harassed, or they feel like there's been a boss that's taken advantage of them, or just a man that's taken advantage of them, that to them this is so personal for Blake Lively to make a mockery of that. I think one of the most offensive things to me, but I mean, we've learned to tune it out, but like when they call us misogynist, when they say that we hate women, and I was like, I was raised by women. The men in my life were, far less superior to the women in my life, that I am such a champion for women, so that when I see somebody like Blake Lively, who I think is just such a disgrace of a person, let alone a woman, the fact that she tries to go up and represent herself as a noble woman, and then say that you're fighting for other women, like, you're a joke.
Yeah.
And I think people feel that. I think there are so many women that feel that, and I'm so grateful to see so many men, Andy, Dave Neal, all these people that are straight men that are coming out and defending women and putting their own reputations on the line. I think that's really powerful too. And they're not, pussies like Ryan Reynolds, who are hiding behind their money and their fame and their WME Ari Emanuels that are going to back them. They've finally realized that the public isn't just going to bow down and take their whippings from them and just listen. Like, the public has a voice now. And I think thanks to social media, thanks to shows like yours, Billy, and thanks to platforms that we've been able to build and share with these communities, we've been able to make that shift.
Yeah.
You mentioned Donna earlier was talking about the statement. What a frustrating statement. Let's just read the statement if you don't have too much PTSD. The end product, the movie It Ends With Us, is a source of pride to all of us who worked to bring it to life. I don't know if it still is. It's just, there's only remnants of it remaining. Like, who's ordering that right now? Raising awareness and making a meaningful impact in the lives of domestic violence survivors. And all survivors. Yeah. Who do you think that's a reference to? And all that's Blake. That's Blake inserting that line. Well, I don't know if she had to pay Justin anything, or if they did. I hope to God, I tried every which way to get that out. I think maybe there might have been something, but I hope it shouldn't have been any less than a $50 million. But and all survivors, that's her saying, remember.
Yeah.
I survived something, not domestic violence, but the thing they threw out.
Yeah.
It's real. They threw it out on a technicality. This is her, not letting it go.
Yeah.
And they let her do it. But that is maybe the most frustrating line in the whole thing.
It's really frustrating to see, because it does feel like, I hate the people that out there that say, it's clear she had the leverage in that room. It's clear she had the power. Well, she was the plaintiff. Right? She was going after Justin. I don't think Justin, or at this point it was Wayfarer, but I don't think Wayfarer, they didn't want anything to do with this from day one. Yeah. This came at them. So yeah, she was the one that came to them and wanted to settle. There's no question, because I think that they would have probably gone down this path a long time ago, honestly. This is just my gut feeling. But she clearly, once all those claims got thrown out, my feeling is that it just wasn't as enjoyable for her, this idea, like, we're not going after Justin anymore. This whole thing was against Justin from day one. Yeah. There were haters. They hated Justin so early on in this process, before they even went to set. Like, it's weird. It is there's no other word. It is weird how much they glommed onto him and really wanted to take this guy down.
I know, and I just wonder, I still think, and I've shared this with both of you, but I just think it's like, she is mediocre. And, I'm not being a mean girl here, but she's mediocre. She's an okay actress. Ryan's an exceptional business mind, entrepreneur. You got to hand it to him with the soccer team and the phone company and the gin and the whatever he touches seems to turn to gold, except her. But she is gorgeous. The best thing she has going for her, she's beautiful. She looked amazing on that dress. Is
She
fantastic. We all can acknowledge she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. But average when it comes to the talent. She's okay. And she's surrounded by Ryan. She's surrounded by Taylor. She's surrounded at the time. And all these, Bradley and Ben and Matt and in that club. And they all own things. They all own big pieces of IP and big properties. And she doesn't. And she wants to be a Reese Witherspoon. And she wants to be, someone that buys big material and turns it into huge series and a big producer and all that. And instead of, she tried to force it. And she saw this guy as a weak lamb.
Yeah. But I mean, I will argue and push back to say that It Ends With Us was the project that I think would have given her that.
Yeah.
Had she
I gotta have this.
Had she not just completely tried to bulldoze and take it over and then be awful during the promotion.
Correct.
That, with the success of the movie and the popularity of the book, if she just would have let the film come to fruition and then played it smart without promoting her hair care line, without promoting her booze line, without, just with getting advice from the real experts. I mean, Sony called her a terrorist.
Yeah.
That says a lot. They called her epic level stupid. And she is epic level stupid because she completely screwed up her entire fucking career.
She really did.
For the moment that could have given her the career that she actually wanted. But she's so delusional and she's so focused on thinking she has to be right because she has the ego of her husband. And listen, her husband's actually a smart man. She, not that bright. This lawsuit proved that she deserves to go into the shadows that she's been banished to.
You're so correct. The deposition with her manager, I think there was a deposition where they said, what typically happens when your phone rings after a movie that cost $25 million to make, ballooning to $40 million, then makes $350 million, and it's starring your client? What happens? He goes, is it double? Is it triple? Is it? He's like, oh yeah, unbelievable. And did that happen? He goes, no.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
she literally imploded. I mean, what everything you wanted. You went the mean girl route to get it, but you're right, Zach. It was coming to you.
Yeah.
All you had to do is sit back and accept the fruits, girl.
Yeah, and just honestly, just be. If you don't have to like your coworker. You don't have. Maybe I don't like Zack right now, and I'm sitting next to him and putting a smile on him. Yeah, right. No, but I really feel like it's a crazy situation in Hollywood to not just be able to swallow your pride and just be like, okay, we're gonna move past this, but I don't love him. He's a little bit off to me. He's a little bit weird. I can see her saying that about Justin, maybe. I'm not really into the spiritual thing, whatever. Just swallow that, put a smile on, get on that red carpet. We've seen it a million times over. That trailer, we were just doing some research on this. The trailer got so many views. This trailer broke records. People were dying to see this movie. And she would have come off like, they would have done the next one even. I mean, she was really the stupidest choice.
And listen, she took over production and did all of that. Okay, fine. I'll even give her those crumbs that she can take. You screwed it up during production, but now we're seeing the success of the film. And now there's a sequel on the line. And now there's your future on the line. Like, and even when you start to have tone-deaf marketing and you start to take the feedback and be like, okay, let's correct course to save the franchise so that we can do a sequel, so that we can have more opportunities. Like, let's figure out a way to workshop this and course correct. But instead, she decided she was going to bulldoze this guy even further and just completely ruined everything. And not just herself and Ryan. Isabella Ferrer, what a fucking joke.
Oh my God, where is
nobody's
she?
ever going to
Biggest
work with
loser.
her again.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Sklenar got lucky, but he's lucky because he's hot and he had other film roles lined up. But
He is really hot.
Isabella's done.
He's so
Jenny
hot.
Slate,
Brandon Sklenar.
Nobody cares about Jenny Slate. Like, she's going to be forgotten in all of this. Colleen Hoover, like, nobody wants to see her on
And
those
her book
screens.
sales, totally.
Jenny
She had
Slate's
another
the new
book.
Jennifer Grey. I always think of she's the new
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Jennifer Grey.
I wonder why. I wonder what it is. I
I
don't
wonder
know.
too. We're not going to talk about